getting published worldwide. So we update the content daily basis, and we cover the content from the publishers in journal like Crossref listed journals, STM publishers, Scopus Index journals, UGC Care List, and Web of Science journals. We cover most of the types of journals, and we cover 91 plus billions of web pages. If you see the internet content, it is more than 91 plus billions of web pages from all the languages, not only English like Hindi, Kannada, French, German, Spanish. So most of the top languages we cover, and we cover 12,000 publishers journals, like 12,000 publishers from the uh, uh, even the subscription based journals and open access publishers. There are 3,000 open access publishers, and then we have commercial publishers. So we cover that like IEEE, Elsewhere, Springer, Nature, Sage. There are many top publishers we cover. And in the 12,000 publishers, we have 80,000 journals from all the subjects. 80,000 we cover. In that, about 37,000 plus is the commercial journals, and 40,000 plus is the open access journals we cover. So this is about the content coverage. Our accuracy in terms of in the result generation is good compared to other software. And coming to the features, what are the key features in Drillbit which will help the users or institutions to detect the plagiarism and generate the results, and easy for them to access the platform? So we have two products, like one is the classroom management, which is for the college, university institutions like admin, instructor, and students concept. And we have one more folder management for the corporate companies or research institutions or journals, publishers. So many can use the folder management concept. So there are two products. And we have a repository concept. We support, Drillbit support the repository concept in the plagiarism tool. When I say repository, we provide unlimited storage space to the institutions where they can store their content, students' papers, or previous year's paper. For example, if institutions has not developed any mechanism to detect the plagiarism, so they can upload their content into the Drillbit. Last 4-5 years, whichever is available in the digital format, they can upload in the repository. And current year students, to avoid the duplication, how to avoid the duplication within the institution? If the
Sorry, can you
content are
please
not
put up
published.
in presentation mode? Can you please put up in presentation mode?
Sir, it is in presentation mode.
Actually, we cannot see the full slide.
Okay. Let me share it again. Is it fine now?
No, Jaina, it's not fine.
Let me share it again. Is it fine now?
It's still the same.
Good. How
Fine
about
now.
now?
Fine,
Now
fine.
it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about a repository concept. As I said, the institutions can use the unlimited repository space where they can store the previous year and current year students' content, so that we can avoid duplication within the institution. Like if any students are copying from the senior students or the within this year students, so we can detect the duplication if we are using the repository concept. And we cover archive and web coverage, like a real-time check. We use the Google API where we do the real-time check. Even any published paper yesterday or today morning, even we detect those content. And there are some exclusions as per the UGC policy. We strictly follow the UGC guidelines. Drillbit, since it is Make in India product, we follow UGC policy. So as per the UGC policy, there are some exclusions. Uh, 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 as per the UGC guidelines, not mandatory to check every content to be in the document. There are some exclusions, like exclude sources, exclude quoted work, reference and bibliography, common phrases. These are the exclusions as per the UGC policy. If any sources are unrelated or any kind of self-plagiarism, if it is a author's own content, so those content can be removed using the source exclude options. Then we have a quoted work. If any author cited some content, if it is copied from the published work, you can write within the double inverted quotes. In the software, it should be within the double inverted quotes. Then only software will identify. Then it exclude the cited work or quoted works. And we have a references and bibliography. If any content written under reference and bibliography, that also will be excluded as per the UGC guidelines. And we have a common phrases. In the software, there are option to exclude common phrases. If any university name or institution name or any kind of standard abbreviation, so those can be excluded as per the UGC guidelines. So software has made a provision to exclude as per the UGC guidelines. And we have a grammar software integration. Drillbit is integrated with the grammar software. Institution can go for the error-free document as well as the plagiarism-free document. So both can be used in the single platform. So, and we have a language coverage. We have discussed on the language coverage part, and we support multiple file formats. Like users can upload PDF format, Word format like docs, then HTML, PPT, Excel, ODT file, text files. So they can upload multiple file formats. And we support multiple document submission and processing. At a time, users can submit multiple files, like 10 files, 20 files at a time. They can submit to save the time. And software also will process simultaneously many files and generate the results. And we have a detection of hidden characters, replaced characters, or a symbol, manipulated text using any white font. So any kind of manipulations, the software will detect. This is the unique features in Drillbit. And we have a feedback, scoring, and grading concept. As per UGC, there are 4 levels of plagiarism. One is 0 to 10, 10 to 40, 40 to 60, and above 60. So these are the 4 levels of plagiarism. So as per the guidelines of UGC, we generate the grades. And we have API and LMS integration. When I say API, any institutions can integrate with their own ERP. If they are using their own software, like library software or any kind of LMS software in their institutions or any journals or publisher, they use their own software. So we can integrate plagiarism tool. No need to log in, for the plagiarism check. So they can access the plagiarism tool on their platform. And we have LMS integrations like Google Classroom, Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas, Brightspace, Sakai. So there are many LMSs where Drillbit has integrated with those. And we have a customized digital receipt. We have a certificate which is generating for plagiarism check. Institutions can take the printout of those certificates and attach to the document. Like if you're submitting dissertation or thesis to the any universities, so you can attach the plagiarism certificate and submit along with the hard copies. So these are the key features of Drillbit. And coming to the customer part, as I said, we are supporting more than 500 clients in India, which is 35 universities, 180 plus colleges, R&D centers, journals, and publishers. And these are the top national customers of Drillbit, like JNTU Hyderabad, Manipur Technical University, AKTU affiliated colleges, KL University, Amity University, Noida, JIS University, NTR Health University. So there are many customers we are supporting from last 5 years, and we have a global customers. Now we are working with many partners in the global market, and we could get few customers from Colombia and Philippines, Nigeria, and we are working with many institutions in the global market. So this is about the presentation. Let me show the live demonstration how Drillbit works and how to upload the file and see the results. Can we see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is, yes. This is our website, drillbitplagiarism.com. This is a cloud-based application. When I say cloud-based, this is like a Gmail.
Chanakya, mute yourself. Chanakya, mute yourself. Chanakya, mute yourself. Sir, continue, please.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Drillbitplagiarism.com. This is our website. This is a cloud-based application. When I say cloud-based, it is like a Gmail. We create a user ID and password, and users can access it from anywhere, anytime, on any device. This is not restricted to the laptop, desktops, or mobile. You can access from the tab and any other devices which are used by the authors or the users. And this is available 24/7. We hosted on the Microsoft Azure cloud. So since it is in the cloud, anytime it can be accessed by the users, even within the campus or outside the campus also, they can use the applications. Here we have the support page. Users can go through it. Here we have FAQs. We have updated all the questions. If any questions from the users related to product, related to integrations, related to the interface, so all questions are answered in the FAQ page. All users can go through this, and we have open API. As I said, if any institutions want to integrate our Drillbit plagiarism tool on their software like ERP or LMS or any library tools, we can do it. It is free of cost. We can do the integration even on the journals or publishers to check automated plagiarism check. No, not even logging into the Drillbit. Even automated plagiarism check, we can do it. And we have user guides. So we have put a PDF user guides where users can download the user guides and they can use it. And this is the get started. This is a page to start with a Drillbit. Click on the get started. As I said, we have one admin users and the normal users. So we Drillbit create the admin login credentials, so they can access the Drillbit platform and create the user credentials. Like if it is a faculty or teacher or HODs, so they can create the users credentials. So to start with, enter the email ID and then password. Once you enter the user ID password, this is our home page. When you log into the Drillbit, you get into the home page. In every page, we have written the instructions. Every page, the users can see the instructions, like create a folder, select the folder to submit the document. Similar to our desktop application, we have a concept called a folder management. So first level is to create a folder, then upload the documents, because we have to manage the files. For example, department-wise, section-wise, student-wise, or a project-wise, course-wise. So depends on the need of the institution, they can create the folder. Click on the folder. First level is to create a folder. Enter the folder name. Just you can give like gap one in folder name or a course name or a subject wise, student wise. So any name you can pick it up. And validity of the folder. If the project validity or assignment validity is 1 week, 1 month, they can set the time of the folder validity. And then here we have exclusions. As I said, as per the UGC guidelines, you can exclude some content. Not every content to be checked in the plagiarism tool. There are some exclusions. So exclude reference and bibliography, you can go for yes. And exclude quotes. As I said, if any citation, they should write within the double inverted quotes. In the software, it will identify only if it is within the double inverted quotes. Just click on the yes, so that all the content which is written in the double inverted quotes will be excluded. And there are some limitations, like if students may misuse. When I say exclude quotes, the students intentionally may write some content and try to exclude. But in the limitation, 10%, maximum is allowed 10% in the software. As per the standard guidelines, the quote should be less than 10%. So or up to 10%, they can write in the double inverted quotes and give credits to the original author. If they're copying any paragraph sentences, they should write within the double inverted quotes and give credits to the original author in the reference column. So then only it is valid. And we have exclude small sources. As I said, there are two types of documents in any institutions. There are external and internal documents. What is external document and internal? If it is internal document like assignments, project work, thesis, dissertation, these are called internal documents. And external research articles, like it is out of the institution. The researchers or any author, they will write article and submit it to the journals or a publication for publishers for publications. So in the as per the UGC guidelines is for the thesis and dissertation, we can follow up to 14 similarity words. If it is a publication, we can follow 5 similarity words, because standard international publishers are using the 5 similarity words. What is that 5 similarity words? It is a plagiarism matching concept. How software will detect the plagiarism? It is based on the matching concept, like similar words matching. If it is continuously or consecutively 5 similar words are matched, then software says that there is a plagiarism. If it is a 14 similar consecutive words, then software will say that there is a plagiarism. It is like a matching the identical word, identical or similar words, or a consecutive words matching concept. So this is how software will detect. So if anyone checking for the research article for publication, they can go with the 5 similarity words. If any author is checking for the thesis, dissertation, assignments, or project work, they can go for the 14 similarity word. They can create multiple folders. There is no restriction on creating folders. They can create 10, 100,000 folders also. So they can do the settings as per the publication or the internal documents. And if we have exclude and include sources, as I said, we can remove some sources like unrelated sources. When you are checking for agriculture, some content may match from the medical, so that is unrelated. We can remove some sources. If it is author's own work, we can remove some sources. Then grammar check, as I said, we can go for grammar check also. Any documents you submit under this folder, all documents will be scanned in the plagiarism as well as the grammar also. So we can ensure that error-free document as well as the plagiarism-free document. And exclude phrases. As I said, we can remove some standard names, standard abbreviations like university name or institution name, or any kind of department names like Department of Computer Science and Engineering. This is not a plagiarism. Everyone has to use it. So those phrases can be removed. Like you can National Stock Exchange. You can. This is a standard name. Everyone has to use it. This is not a plagiarism. And Department of Computer Science. So these are not the plagiarism. So you can exclude it. So click on the submit. So now we are creating a folder. We can see here now we have created a folder gap and folder ID. Each folder will get a folder ID. Then status is active. Then creation date. So this is a folder creation date, and we get here edit option. So you can go and change the settings. If you wish to change the settings, users or any in charge of this software, they can log in and change the settings, and you can delete also. So now let us select the folder to submit the document. This is very simple application. Log into the application, create a folder, then submit the document. This is only 2 steps involved to check the plagiarism. Here you can see upload English, upload non-English, upload regional. As I said, we are supporting India regional languages, English as well as foreign languages. So depends on the need of the users, they can choose. So click on the upload English, you will get multiple options. As I said, single file at a time you can submit a 1 file, multiple file at a time you can submit 10 files. In zip compressed files you can submit at a time 20 files. And Google Drive, if the file size is bigger, you can submit from the Google Drive as well. So click on the single file. So this is the single file submission page. Here we should enter the author name. First is to enter author name, then submission title. You can enter the title, whatever project title is there. You can put study on customer satisfaction. Then document type, you can choose the document type. If it is a thesis, dissertation, assignment, project work, you can choose based on the document type. This is for the statistics purpose. If you want to check after 6 months, 1 year, how many types of documents are checked in the software, they can select the type of documents. Then here we have a choose the file. Click on the choose file, and you can select from your system your document research project. So now I have attached the document, and as I said, we are supporting multiple file formats. You can see that PDF, docs, many file formats are there. And here also we get option like grammar check or plagiarism. So you can choose. Sometime you will get a good percentage in grammar, so you no need to check sometime. Or you want to check in only grammar or plagiarism. Both option is available, so that it is a flexibility to check grammar or plagiarism. So click on the submit. So now we are submitting a file for plagiarism check. So you may get a question. So how much time it will take? How much time it will take to scan document in Drillbit? If it is 1 to 10 pages, if it is 1 to 10 pages, it takes about 1 or 2 minutes. If it is 10 to 100 pages, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes. If it is 100 to 400 pages, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes. If any during traffic or peak hours, it may take some more extra time, but maximum any document will generate the result within 15 minutes. And how many pages are allowed in each document? We allow up to 400 pages. Each document can be up to 400 page document. They can submit 1 page, 10 page, 100, 400, up to 400 pages. Because in India, maximum thesis will be up to 350, 300, 350 pages. So we kept maximum as a 400 pages. And if it is a book publisher, we allow them to up to 2000 pages. Our capability, drill bit capability is up to 2000 pages. Some of the book publishers, they are using drill bit and submitting 800 page, 1000, 1200, up to 1200 pages they are submitting. And what is the size is allowed in the document? If they are using more charts, graphs, images, so their file size can be higher side. So we are allowing up to 100 MB file size. Each file can be up to 100 MB. So if it is 1 MB, 2 MB, 10, 100, up to 100 MB, they can submit the document. So this is about document. And one more question you may get is like, when you save when you submit a document to the drill bit, will it save automatically in the database? So no, in Drillbit, there is no auto save concept. We are not saving all the documents in Drillbit. Whenever the students or any author submit the document to the Drillbit, it will be in the temporary memory. In Drillbit, there is no auto save concept. Users can easily submit the document. They can check multiple times. For example, first time they will submit, they will get 50% plagiarism. So they should rewrite. The UGC, as per the UGC guidelines, is allowed up to 10%. The users can copy or can be similar content up to 10%. If it is more than 10, the document will be rejected. So users should ensure that it will be less than 10%. So if any document is more than 10, up to 50, 60, so then they should rewrite and resubmit again. So in that case, in the drill bit, again, if you submit second time or third time, it will not show 100%, because we are not saving any document in the drill bit software. So this is a very user friendly software, and we have taken the feedback from all the students, librarians, HODs, registrar, vice chancellor. So it is designed according to the Indian education system. So now we can see here we got the results. You can see the author name, title of the document. This is the original file which was submitted. Even the students or any teachers can download the original file after 1 month, 2 months. We keep the records up to 12 months. So within this is a yearly subscription product. One more thing is that this is yearly subscription based. So we keep the records of the students or whoever uploads the document. It will be up to 12 months. So after 12 months, if the license is getting renewal, then we renew the software. Otherwise, the software will delete automatically all the files from the temporary memory. So you can see here the language is English. This is the paper ID. This is the unique ID to track the document, and then submitted date and time and similarity percentage. We got the 77% similarity. And here we have the delete option. So you can delete the document. Now you got the results. We can delete it, or we can download the files. We can download the results file in the PDF format. So click on the percentage. So once you click on the percentage, we get into the result page. We call it as a result page or analysis page or a report. So this is the analysis page. We can see this is the similarity percentage. You can see here 77% is a similarity, and left side is the sources. So you can see here these are the sources which are contributing 77%, and we can see the percentage. Each sources is contributing percentages, and here we have exclude options. As I said, you can see green color button here, exclude, and if you drop down, you can see some additional sources. These are the primary sources. There are two types of sources in the software generate. In the software, we generate two types of sources. One is the primary and alternate sources. Why it is? In the Google, when we go and search, when we enter any topic or any kind of words, it will give us the many sources, not only one source, two sources. In Google also we get many, because whichever is matching with the highest percentage, it will be in the top. Whichever is the lesser side, it will be in the alternate source. In the drill bit also similar case, because the content full or partial available in different places. Some content may be available full in one location, partially it may be available in different locations. So in drill bit we check everything. When we go to Google or any databases, we check entire content. So we get the all the sources and we filter it. We make it as a primary source, whichever is the highest contribution, and whichever is the partial matching, it will be in the alternate source. And you can see here center part. This is about the document which is uploaded for the plagiarism check. You can see here we are using color coding. You can see in the source also we use the color coding for easy identification. Each source is in the different colors, and even in the content also we can see it is highlighted using the different color coding for easy identification. So scroll down, you can see this is the entire document in a single page. You can see here, and it is highlighted in different color. Wherever there is a plagiarism percentage, we highlight it in different colors. And one more thing, we are generating the report in original format without changing any alignment, formatting, or any kind of charts, graphs. So it is inclusive of everything, like similar to the Turnitin or Authenticate. So this is a similar result generation. So it is easy for authors or the users to understand the files and rewrite. Wherever there is a plagiarism, they can read it very easily and rewrite and resubmit for plagiarism check. So here we have a navigation also, how to check which is the content for match for which source. There is a navigation for source to the content. For example, you just come here, click on the source, it will navigate to the matched content. You can see here, this is a color for source and the content. And click on the next source, it will navigate to the matching. So easy for the users, so that check which is the source matched to the content. And here we can see the next highlight and previous highlight, because the same content may match in multiple pages. For example, if I submit a 30-page document, the content can match in the first page, 5th page, 30th page also. So how to navigate? You can see here, just click on the next button. So it will navigate wherever is the next matching, the software will navigate. So easy for the users to understand the report as well as the source versus the content. And whenever we are in the content part, how to check which is the source for this particular content. So just click on the matched content. For example, you can click here, so it will highlight here. You can see here, this is the publisher content. Just click on the matched content, it will highlight source. So we have a both the side navigation. This is the beauty of Drillbit. We have included all the features. We have from the source to content, content to source navigation. So easy for users to understand the report. And here we have a direct link. For example, if you click on the source, it will generate the original link. Easily they can click on the source. It will navigate to the publishers or journals website, so that they can read the original document and understand the plagiarism sequences. And then we have in the top side we can see some buttons. Email notification. Just click on the email notification. We can send this plagiarism report. We can download the report in the PDF format, but we can send the document to the guide or supervisor or colleagues. So you can share, just enter the email ID here. Enter. So now we can send this plagiarism report via email. You can see here, email has been sent successfully. And here we have a QR code. If you want to scan this QR code, like if you want to share this document via WhatsApp or any other social media, just open your camera, mobile camera, and scan this QR code. You will get entire plagiarism report on your mobile. No need to send it via email or even send it from your PC to mobile. Just scan the QR code. You will get entire the plagiarism report on your mobile. So you can easily share in the WhatsApp or another social media. And here we have a save to repository. So until now, this document is in the temporary memory and not saved anywhere in the database. But we can use the repository concept to avoid the duplication. If there are 10 students, 100 students, there is a chance to copy each other or copy from senior students. If you don't save this internal document like project work, assignments, dissertation, then how to avoid the duplication? Every student can do the similar project. So the institution can use the repository concept so that we can avoid the duplication within the institution. So they can just click on the save to repository. This document will be saved in the repository. And next time any students, even next year students or any other college students try to copy this project, so software will detect and say that there is a submission of this document from this so-and-so college or the authors. And here we have digital receipt. This is the customized digital receipt page. Here you can see that the Drillbit logo and company name, because this is our demo account. So we see the name and logo of Drillbit. Otherwise, if institution is subscribed, you can see the institution logo and the name. So this is for the institution purpose. They can generate the plagiarism check report for their students. Here we have a synopsis, dissertation, thesis, and article. Each is customized based on the requirement of the institutions, and we can customize also. We can do more customization. And here we have a QR code also. No one can duplicate the certificate. Just check the, take the certificate and duplicate it. No, it is not possible, because we are giving the QR code for every certificate. And here they can see that author name is autofill, and some course study they can write also. They can just type it. Department, they can type it here. So acceptable plagiarism percentage, they can write if it is 10%, 15%. Some universities, some institutions follow 10%, 15%. They can type it here. And you can see submitted by, paper title, similarity percentage, paper ID, date. So it is all auto-filled. And here we have a signature of the student, university librarian. So you can change it also. If you want to change, you can type it. Signature of librarian, you can do it here. Or HOD. So you can type it, click on the print. So this will generate the certificate in A4 format, A4 size, and you can print it. So you can print and attach to the document. If you're submitting dissertation or thesis, you can attach it along with the document. And here we have file information. If users or authors want to see what is the file information, you can see. You can see the file name, file size, character count, word count, total sentences, total pages, total lines. So the entire file submission information, we can check it from here. And here we have a download. So we can download this report. There are two types of reports. One is the PDF report and HTML report. So both report can be downloaded by the users. And here we have a settings. After download, we have a settings. This is also very unique in Drillbit. We provide a complete information on the file here and settings also. We did a folder settings. Before submission, we did a folder setting that is applicable for all the files in the folders. But how to change the settings for single file? When you are in the single file, how to change the settings? Not required to go back to the folders and change it. So we can change the settings for each file. You can see here exclude quotes. It will show total content under quotes. As I said, limit is 10%. If anyone writing more than 10%, we display here. Easily we can see here, this is the more than 10% of the content. We can reject it here itself. And similarity percentage. If there is a quote, we check the plagiarism of even quotes also. If anyone want to see what is the plagiarism under the quote, they can see it from here. And sources also, we display how many sources are there in the quotes. So they can do exclude, include from here also. And references also same case. And here we have a small sources. As I said, if you're choosing for less than 14 words or 5 words, we can see the percentage of that. This is how we can do the settings for the single files. And here we have a duplicate phrases. This is a unique one. If you're writing any article, there are some limitations, restrictions that you should write 3000 words, 4000 words. So how to check that, there are duplications, phrases are in your document. Just you can type 5 words or 6 words. You can just type and submit. This software will generate the duplication of phrases, how many times it is repeated, how many times it's occurred in the document, so that easy for users to rewrite and reduce the number of word count in the document. So this is about the plagiarism report analysis page. Let me show the PDF report. We have just downloaded the PDF report. This is the PDF report of Drillbit plagiarism. You can see this report is generated by Drillbit plagiarism detection software. And here in the first page, we see the submission information like author name, title, paper ID, then submission date and time. And then we have a total pages, 13 pages, document type, project work. We have selected the document type. And here you can see a similarity percentage, 77% is a similarity percentage. And here we are giving source type. This is the analytics of the document. Plagiarism percentage, like how much content is from the internet. Internet is contributed 33%, and then student paper, and then journal and publication. So as I said, 3 types of the content every plagiarism software uses for the plagiarism checking. And we have a content in the report. As I said, if it is a quotes, references, small sources, the software will highlight the percentage of the contribution. And here we have exclude information. As I said, when you do exclude information, we print on the PDF report, because some students may intentionally exclude some content. Without knowledge of the supervisor or guide, they may exclude some content. To avoid that, we are printing here exclude quotes, whether they have done exclude quotes or not, reference and bibliography, small sources, the source excludes, what is the percentage they have excluded, and phrases, anything exclude, and QR code. They can just take the mobile camera and scan this. They will get again entire the PDF report on their mobile also to share via any social media. And here we can see second page of the report, 77% plagiarism, 8 sources are matched, and the grade is C. Grade is generated as per the UGC guidelines. If it is 0 to 10, 10 to 40, 40 to 60, and above 60. And here you can see the list of sources. These are the matched sources. Matched, we call it as a websites, domains, then links or sources. So you can call it in any name. These are the list of sources. And then each source, each plagiarism percentage we can see here. And then source types, internet data, publication, student paper. So based on the source type, it will generate the report. You can come down. Next is the student paper or the author's paper, which is submitted for plagiarism check. We attach the even document also with the plagiarism percentage, and you can see here highlighted in different colors with the source number also. You can see to track it in the PDF report. We don't have a navigation concept. So how to identify source versus content? So we print the source number here. You can see color, different color with the source number, easy for identification, and we are generating the report in the original format. You can see there is no change in the table or graphs or images, so everything is included in the report. So this is the beauty of a drill bit report. So this is how the report will be generated. You can see here the matched content in the different colors with the source numbers. So this is how the drill bit PDF report will be generated. So with this, I have completed this user part. Let me show the admin dashboard, how the drill bit supports the admin users in the institutions. So just click on the admin dashboard. Here you can see that one users in the admin can play dual role. Like you can upload the file also, and you can play as an admin user also. So click on the admin dashboard. You can see here, this is the admin dashboard. Now we are in the admin dashboard. So click on the my account to see the license information. So when we are creating, drill bit creates the license information for the college or university. So you can see here, institution name will come here. So username, email ID will come, then account ID. Each user will get one ID. Then date of activation, number of user account. For example, institution subscribed for 10 users, 5 users, 100, 1000. So we printed here. And then number of documents. The users can subscribe for 500 documents also, 1000 documents, unlimited. So we have many packages according to the institution size. So based on that, they can decide the package. Then document length up to 400 pages, they can check it, each document. And then date of expiry, grammar subscription. This is the additional cost for the grammar subscription. They can subscribe grammar also. Then product name and time zone. So this is about the license information, and the institution can upload their logo here. So when they upload their logo, they will get the certificate with the institution logo. Then we have account statistics. If admin user want to see the statistics of the license, so then they can see here account statistics, how many documents are submitted. You can see here 16,721 documents are checked in this license. Then validity of license, still 887 days are remaining days of the license. Then here we have user statistics. You can see here subscribe for 100 users and 31 users are active. 31 users are using this subscription. Then here institution overall similarity index. This is a beautiful concept or a report to the management to understand what is the student's capability, how much they're copying or how much their own work. So this is statistics based on this submissions. You can see similarity work of all the users in the institution and their own work. And then here users tab, click on the users tab. This is the users already in the license. If you want to add any new users, just click on the add user. Any admin can create the username, email ID, then end date. If any like a part-time faculty or a full-time, so based on their duration, you can set the validity to avoid any misuse of the software. For example, if A institution is subscribing they may share it with B also, C also, or a faculty may share it. So to avoid that misuse of the application, we have given the end date. They can set up to 12 months or 3 months, 1 month. They can set the validity. Then they can allocate the document. They can allocate 100, 10, 1000. They can allocate the document based on the department need or the user's need. And grammar allocation also, they can do it. This is to control the usage or the misuse of the application. Just click on the confirm after entering the details. The software will create automatically the login credentials and will send it via email ID. So here we have add multiple users. If you want to create a multiple users at a time, 10 users, 100 users, so they can use the template, download the template and upload it. It will create automatically all the users email ID and password. Then we have a download users list. Otherwise, these are the users list. We can see here active status, deactivate. If you want to deactivate temporarily for 1 month, 2 months, you can deactivate, and delete. You can delete this user account. And edit option, you can edit some information or allocate more documents. For example, you're allocating 100. If they're completing 100, you can allocate another 100 also. So you can edit. And then resend the credentials. If any user says that they forgot the password, they can generate the password from the forgot password page, or even admin user can send the credentials. And here we have a statistics. Each user statistics we can see. If there are 100 users, we can see the statistics of each user, how many files they are uploading, what is their overall similar work or own work. So we get the report. And here we have a report page. Here the admin can download the all users report in one go, or they can download by individual users. Then here we have a repository concept. As I said, we provide unlimited repository space to the institutions, so they can upload their current year paper as well as the previous year papers also. So we have two types of repository. One is the global repository and institution repository. So what is the difference? In the global repository, when the institution is uploading it to the global repository, it will check for all other colleges also. For example, A college is uploading the paper, we will compare against the A college students as well as the B college, C college. So it is a global. Then institution repository. Institution repository nothing but we will compare with only one institution. Only for their students we compare the documents. And here we have a language, English and non-English as well. Both they can use it in the repository. And here we have a repository inbox. For example, if anyone by mistakenly saved the document to the repository, how to remove it? No need to come to the drill bit for the removal. Even in the institution, admin user can remove it. You can see here the action button, remove. So if I click on this button, this document will be removed from the repository. Even in institution or global, it will be removed completely from the drill bit database. So users not to be worried if the document is saved to the repository. And we have integration. As I said, we have integrated with the Google Moodle and other like LTI integrations are there, Blackboard, Canvas, Brightspace. So it is free of cost, no charges for integrations. They can use it freely. And here we have a switch to users. Now this is the admin role. Now I can become users also. Click on the switch to users. I'll be on the user page. So this is about the Drillbit platform. So I'm requesting team to ask any questions. So I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, participants are requested to please unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, madam. Good evening.
Sir, as you said, Drillbit is indigenous software.
Yes, madam. Yes.
At present, Shodhganga is using this software or Urkund, sir?
Shodhganga is subscribed to Urkund, madam. Till this year, August, they are using Urkund. Again, they are going to call the tender. Urkund was procured for 1 year. Urkund was procured for 1 year because of the COVID. They extended the subscription. So this is the license will end in this August. So they may recall the tender again. This is every year subscription. Urkund is not permanent. So every year the implement will call the tender and they will try to subscribe whichever they give the best cost or the features.
Thank you, sir. A nice presentation, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Any other questions?
Yeah, any other question, please? So thank you for speaking to the fraternity, sir, the research and teaching fraternity. We are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share your creation and experiences with us. Since plagiarism is a, yeah.
So actually, I uploaded in the chat box also, but wanted to ask that other than institutions access, the software also provides the access for individual researchers also.
Yes, yes, madam. Individual users also, researchers or any kind of a content writer or students also can access to Drillbit and check plagiarism.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And it was really very insightful presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, madam.
Yeah, we would rather request you to please go for this software because rest other softwares are available at very high price. And again, the content and rest of the things is again a big question mark. So, sir, since the plagiarism, yeah, please mute yourself.
Sir, how much cost, sir, for this plagiarism software?
Yeah, for the cost part and everything, we have shared the number, contact numbers, and email ID. So all the participants are requested to please kindly refer the chat box. For you can contact Mr. Anurag Gupta. I have share his number also and email ID also. So you'll get all the information through him. So we are sure, sir, this software will be certainly useful to us for our research, and not only for research, because there are many other things you have covered in the software, like blogs also. So
Yes,
once
sir,
again,
yes.
thank you for your contribution, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to showcase Indian product. Kindly support us wherever possible. Please subscribe and use it. And we give a free trial access also if anyone want to compare or test it. So we provide trial access. So please request us for trial access also,
So we
or
will,
even subscription also is fine.
we will share the link in the group for this
Okay, sir.
trial or demo version, so that all the
Okay.
participants can refer to that link.
Okay, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now I request Dr. Preeti Oza, ma'am, CEO of Grand Academic Portal, to kindly introduce our second speaker.
Good evening to one and all, and thank you on behalf of Grand Academic Portal to the Drillbit software and the entire team. It was a wonderful experience to be here today, and I'm sure many of us are going to be benefited with this. So with this thanks note, to going ahead with the next speaker. Today we have with us Dr. Urvashi Kaushal. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, thank you. Thank
please.
you. Dr. Urvashi Kaushal has joined us. She is the faculty at the Department of Applied Mathematics and Humanities at Sardar Vallabhbhai National Institute of Technology, that is SVNIT, Surat. She teaches English and professional communication to engineers and science students. And Madam's area of research is com skills, employability skills, Indian women novelists, post-colonial fiction, and related areas. And she has a deep interest in post-colonial fiction. She is also working in Southeast Asian studies and diaspora studies. Madam has more than 50 articles in reputed journals, and Madam is a very, kind of a esteemed member of Grand Academic Portal. And her expertise is basically on how to write scientific research paper, how to find right kind of journals, how to approach journals. So we thought of this session as being the natural succession of the session done by Drillbit CEO. And then after knowing nuances of the plagiarism, let us just go ahead with how to find the right kind of journal so that we can actually implement our currently acquired knowledge and information about plagiarism nuances. Dr. Urvashi Kaushal, ma'am, most welcome on behalf of Grand Academic Portal, and you may start with your session, please.
Okay. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. And without wasting any time, I would first of all like to thank the Grand Academic Portal for once again inviting me to to speak on this very relevant topic. And I'm so glad that they conducted this program on research ethics. And, obviously, when we talk about research, plagiarism is a big issue, but thankfully, they have tried to solve it, and they are creating a lot of awareness about how plagiarism can be controlled by this medium. And without wasting any more time, I would like to move ahead with the topic that has been allotted to me. Let me share my screen. Okay, all right. Is it visible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, sir. You can see the slide, right? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so I'm going to discuss today how to select the right journal for publication. And in doing so, I am going to, touch upon a few topics. I'm not going to take a lot of time because I think half an hour is enough. But let's start with the broad topics that will be under discussion. First of all, I am going to talk about the process of publication, then the types of journals, and then journal ranking index and how to select a journal. I hope this will answer most of your queries. And after the session also, I'll be happy to answer any more questions that the participants have, provided I have the answers, because even I am a researcher and I am, I feel I'm like continuously learning, because this whole big web of research is so huge that we keep learning every day. Okay, to start with, I'll start with the first step, that is the process of publication. When we talk about publication and we talk about publishing in good journals, we need to understand that there has to be a certain quality that needs to be maintained. And we cannot just write an article and be very sure that it is up to the mark and it will be accepted. Although I've learned from my own experience, where I used to send articles to various journals and receive rejections instantly, I realized over the years that where I was going wrong. And therefore, I started building this whole talk, and I've worked a lot on academic writing, and I talked to my students also about it. What we need to understand is the first step about sending a paper for publication is that the content should be of good quality. Sometimes people write in very good language, but then there is nothing new that they are bringing out in research. So if the content is not new, if there isn't good quality in the content, then the paper is not worth publication for the journals. Then the other side of writing a good research paper is that the paper should be error-free. We often see research papers submitted with a lot of errors. Okay, now please understand, the reviewer is never going to correct the problems that is there in your grammar or in your explanation. It has to be done by the researcher. So do not give people or the reviewer or the journal a reason to reject the paper, at least in terms of content and in terms of grammar and spelling and language. It should be error-free. Then the second thing that we need to keep in mind is that journals act as a vehicle to ensure that research is of good quality by selecting impactful journals. While it is important for all of us to publish research papers, it is extremely important for the journals to publish good quality papers, because their reputation banks on it. Okay, so while we might think that, all right, we could have written a better paper than this, the journals cannot take a chance. They always have to maintain a certain standard. And when we talk about journals, they are like peer-reviewed journals, okay, that have a rigorous process of reviewing. Okay, they send the articles to reviewers who are people who have also been working in the same field, and they evaluate or they assess the paper, the quality of the paper, and then they sometimes recommend revisions, or sometimes they select or reject the paper or recommend that, and on the basis of that, a certain level or a quality is maintained. Now, moving ahead, the types of journal. If we talk about the various types of journal that exist, we have, first of all, the limited access journal, where authors don't need to pay for publication. Okay, the authors don't need to pay for publication. They, they simply so they simply send the paper, and it is the journal actually makes money out of the subscription that it gets. Okay, or when the university subscribe to a certain journal, all that money is used, and the author simply has to send the journal. Now these are like considered very good quality journals. They are like limited access, and you cannot openly get an article published in these journals. You have to actually buy the article later on. Now, the second type is the open access journal. It can be viewed and downloaded for free, as authors need to pay for publication. Now, in the open access journal, the author generally pays for the journal. So we as author, and sometimes, it's so hefty a charge that we feel that we cannot pay, especially if you are talking about journals that are, that are published in UK. So sometimes they ask you for £2,000 or so. So, in any of the Asian countries, researchers cannot pay such amount of money. So open access becomes limited, although open access is considered good because it has a lot of visibility, readability, and it gets a lot of citations also. But the limitation is that the charges are so high that for researchers, it's difficult to sometimes, pay. Okay. Then the third type is the predatory journal. They do a lot of marketing to attract researchers. Like sometimes, we receive mail saying that, we have started a journal, and they want, they'll say that send your paper and we will publish in 2 weeks' time. Please understand, any journal that tells you that it will publish the paper in 2 weeks or say 2 days' time, that means it's a predatory journal. Okay. Any review process would take at least 15, 20, or maybe 1 month, or sometimes good reviewers take around 3-4 months also. So predatory journals generally, approach the researchers more. And secondly, they are very fast. You simply have to pay a small amount of money, and they would, then they would publish the paper. Now, as we move ahead, we need to understand the impact factor that is called, and how journals are ranked. Now, there are many impact factors. Various, journals or organizations and publication houses have started giving their own impact factor. But I'm going to talk about the highest impact factor, or impact factor that is recognized world over. Okay, and anywhere you go, when you say that you've published an article in a journal that has impact factor or SJR or JIF, then it is understood that it is published in a renowned journal. We basically have two major journal ranking index. First is the impact factor, or which is also called journal impact factor. Now, this has come. This was introduced basically by Thomson Reuters, which is now, that company is now being taken over by Clarivate Analytics, and they maintain this journal impact factor. It is measured by citations. How many times a certain article is cited, quoted by researchers. They measure it, and they come up with an annual journal citation report. And accordingly, they maintain and they give, value to the journal. So when you see that that a certain journal has, say 5 JIF, then you know that it is considered good. Okay, generally, in arts, humanities, they say that even 2 is very good. But if you talk about, bio or biology or other physical sciences, you see that above 50. JIF is also rated as very high. So, and this is provided by Web of Science. Web of Science is a renowned database that includes various, that includes list of journals that are, top rated in the world. And these, it is maintained by Web of Science. And then coming to the other type, that is SCI Mago, or what is also called SCI Journal Rank. It is an alternative measure because in recent times, as we have seen, Scopus has gained a lot of popularity, and Scopus is a far bigger database than Web of Science. And Scopus has now started maintaining an SCI Mago or SJR, SCI Mago journal rank, by which they have their own way of giving a certain rank to a journal. Now, both of these, these publication house or both these databases have a certain formula that is used. You can look up the formula. You can easily find out on Google as to how it is, how a certain rank or impact factor is awarded. And in order to counter the JIF that Clarivate Analytics or Web of Science uses, Scopus came up with CiteScore, and I think 2016 they introduced this, and offers an academic journal in which they measure how many times in a certain year a journal is published, and they maintain as much as a 4-year record or so. Okay, so it is, if you see, these are 2 impact factors that are maintained by the top publication houses. And world over, any time when you go and say that you have a paper in with such impact factor, then it gets you credibility in terms of research. Now, how to select a journal. Now, once we understand that journals have certain, say impact factor, we, before sending the paper for publication, we need to take care of certain factors. The journal should have, when you want to publish a paper, look at the journal. Like I said, there's so many predatory journals. One has to be careful. And these days, even UGC is asking us to go for peer-reviewed or Scopus index journals. So we need to find out whether this journal is included in the list or not. Okay, and it can be easily done. I'll give you the, I'll even share the link of the website where you can find the journal and check whether it is, indexed or not. So the journal should, once we start or once we have our paper ready, we can then look for certain journals and then begin with looking at journals that have impact factor. Okay, and impact factor ranks their importance. It tells people as to how important certain journal is. Okay, and then show that, and it also shows that they belong to the scientific community. It is not limited to maybe a certain region or a certain place. When it is accepted worldwide, it is recognized as a highly rated journal. Then the other thing is that the journals also need to be part of the ranking that recognize them as quality journals. Now they also, every year journals apply and they want to be included in these lists because, they also want to maintain a quality. It gives them reputation. And once they get this impact factor, they are sure that there will be, the researchers would send their papers to them. And the researchers, as researchers, we should not fall into the trap of predatory journals. So therefore, I think selecting the right journal is very important. Okay, let us not be in a hurry to just send the paper anywhere. I think the kind of time we invest in writing a paper, we must also invest at least certain amount of time in selecting the right journal. And so many times, without even our any understanding, we send a paper somewhere and then we realize that it is it's a wrong journal, and you get a mail that says that the article doesn't fall in the scope of the journal. So first thing that is important is that along with the impact factor, we must also look at the scope of the journal. Every journal has a certain theme. Okay, there are multidisciplinary journals, but when you go into your specific field of research, you'll see that there are certain journals that that publish only in that area. Okay, like I work in the field of literature and especially post-colonial literature, but I cannot simply by reading the name of the journal, suppose the name of the journal is Asian literature. I cannot be sure that it will be post-colonial. I will have to go to the website of the journal, look at its scope, and once I read, then I understand that, all right, I after some time I found that this journal that I was thinking of was actually about only the East Asian countries. So it would publish articles only related to Indonesia, Japan, and all these countries, and would not include any kind of paper related to India or the South Asia. Okay, so therefore the literature that is produced here was not of interest to them. Similarly, there are journals that when you read, you understand that, okay, they focus only on Victorian literature. Okay, so in the Victorian period, all the literature that was produced, they would accept articles only related to that. And so therefore, any work that you're reading right now and you want to write an article and something that was published in 20th century doesn't interest that journal. So scope and impact factor are two very important things before, when we look for the right journal. Okay. Now, to move ahead, we need to prepare a checklist. Okay, making a checklist before sending the paper is crucial. Okay, we need to check a number of things. First of all, is this journal the right fit for my work? Okay, does it fall into the theme? Sometimes journals also have, they have a dedicated issue, all right, or to a certain theme. Like after COVID, there were so many journals that were coming up with certain issues that would be only related to pandemic and COVID. Even in literature, pandemic literature, sometimes you have graphic narrative journals, an issue dedicated only to that. So do not blindly send your paper without looking at what is the call for papers for the coming issue. Okay, if the journal has advertised that they are going to bring out the next issue, which will be on a certain theme, and your article doesn't fit into that theme, then do not send it there. Okay, or you can send it to them and then tell them that you want the article to be considered for the regular issue and not a certain specific issue. So all journals have it, like, if they bring out 4 or 5 issues, so once in a while, maybe one issue would be on a particular theme. So all articles related to that would be only considered. So if you send it without looking at the theme that is that is called for, then you are wasting your time as well as the journal's time. You will be sitting in hope that the article would be published or will be even considered, and without even looking at the article or reading the article, they will simply reject it by looking at the title, and they'll say that this doesn't fit, and this would lead to a lot of demotivation or disappointment on your end. So therefore it is advisable to go through it carefully. Now, the second thing to check is that, is it read within the readers or communities I want to reach? Okay, where do I want my article to reach? Is it, it shouldn't be that I write an article and I simply send it somewhere where it is published, but nobody reads it. Okay, nobody reads it, or the right people who are interested in the field do not get an opportunity to read it. So the journal should have a certain, say, visibility. It should be, it should be read. It should be known to people. And therefore look for the right journal, see that the journal at least is popular enough. And, and when you do so, although we also send papers to, say interdisciplinary journals that say that International Journal of Arts, Humanity, Literature Management, Sociology, and all, it might include all the subjects, but if you've written a very good article and I feel that you feel it is of a very good standard, try and approach a journal of that very theme, that very subject. Okay, it will then reach the readers of that community. Okay, the specific readers of that community, and it will not go waste in that huge bulk of papers that are published. Okay, but they do not reach the right people. And once your paper reaches the right community, you will get citations. You will, it will be read. It might be questioned. It might be challenged. And that is what research is about. Then the next thing is to check, is the journal of good quality? We need to check quality of the journal. Sometimes you buy, you can browse through the early issues also. So, you can check whether the journal is of good quality. Number one, the publication matters a lot. Second thing, if it is, indexed in Scopus, it automatically becomes a good quality journal, because Scopus does a rigorous review of the quality of journal. It so many times, every year around March or so, they come up with a list where they delist some journals that have not maintained the quality. Then the other thing is that, when one is checking the quality, one can even look at the theme, okay, the editorial team of the journal. Hello. Yeah. Okay. So, is the journal of good quality? That can be also checked by a number of things. And quality obviously can also be checked by the impact factor. But when we talk about humanities, arts and humanities, we cannot compare the impact factor with science or social sciences, because they go by impact factor. For us, just getting into a journal that is indexed in databases like Scopus or Web of Science is good enough, I feel. That because the reaching that very high level is always very difficult for arts and humanities. And we do not have such an extensive list as you we see in sciences. Then when I would suggest that, before sending, even if that name you've heard that is, included in Scopus, go and check on the website and see whether that name is actually there in Scopus or not. Or if, the impact factor that it is claiming is there or not. So check whether SCI Mago includes it and gives that certain impact factor that the journal is claiming or not. Okay, so it will, it tells you whether the journal can be trusted or not, or your paper is simply going to go waste somewhere. Then finding, I've come to the last slide, all right, and how do we find the right journal? Keeping all these things in mind that I just discussed, we can, then go to journal directories. There are certain directories that help researchers identify journals to publish. Okay, so which journals to publish, you can very easily identify. I've listed, one is Journal Guide, that is journalguide.com. The other is, if you want to publish it open access, the directory of open access has this. And then journal author name estimator, that is Jane. Okay, and most commonly used is Elsewhere Journal Finder. Okay, these are tools where, once you visit you can simply type Elsewhere Journal Finder and you will come across a site where you can type the keywords of your paper, or even your tentative title. All right, whatever working title you have in mind. And if you've prepared the article, they even have a space where you can, paste the abstract of your article. And once you have done so, these sites would suggest which journals to, send the paper, because they will try and match the theme of of your article, or the title, or title or keywords of your article or the abstract with the scope of the journal. And which journal is accepting such articles, that can be easily told by these webs. The information can be got by these websites. So it's very easy. Okay, they suggest, but then once again, these are like, they will suggest, good high impact factor journals, and we need to, actually reach their quality. And another thing I would suggest is that before sending your article to any journal, just download a paper or so of that journal and read and understand their expectations, what kind of articles they accept. And once you do that, you will be able to get a fair idea as to what is expected in terms of research. Well, that is all that I had to share about how to find the right journal. Another small trick that I'd share with all of you is that, it's not always easy to find, to publish in Elsewhere or Scopus Index journals, which is by Elsewhere, or Web of Science journals. So but but what we can do is we strive and we continue to improve on our writing and our research skills. But there is an easy way of also finding a journal apart from these websites. What we can do is, when we are doing the literature review, okay, when we are collecting literature to write a research paper, we can compile a list of journals from in which these papers have been published. So suppose you have collected around 20-30 research articles that you are going to read and add in your literature review. Those articles and where they have been published are also the prospective journals where you can publish later on. So because the similar theme has been published, that means that journal is open to what you are also analyzing. So that's another way of looking at a journal. We always do that. If we collect articles, we also compile a list of journals in which these articles have come. So if we have 20 articles, journal articles that we are reading to write a paper, we have at least 5 or 10 good journals where we have a possibility of publishing. So apart from this, because these sites mostly suggest very highly rated journals, sometimes it doesn't feel feasible. Sometimes we do not have an article that is of that level. So I feel in that condition, there is also an alternative where we can look for have our own list where there is a possibility of publishing. Okay, now having said that, I think I have come to the end of my talk, and I think I've discussed whatever I had to share on how to find the right journal. If there is any question, Preeti ma'am, if there is any question, I'll be happy to take. Yes, somebody has asked me to share the links. I'll share the link. Okay, please share. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, nowadays we come across many clone journals.
Oh, yes.
So how do we come to know whether it's a clone or it's an original journal?
See, there is something called Beall's list, BEALL's list, that publishes the clone journal, the list of predatory journals. You will have to do a lot of digging. Sometimes, clone journals are also, they go by the same name as the journal that is indexed in Scopus. Okay, so in that condition, I would suggest go visit the website of the journal, go and look at the past issues, find out, and if you are, if you see that the website has all appropriate information, that means it is good. Okay, that means it is good. And if you can, actually access everything, that means it is not cloned. Okay, and if you can look at the editorial team and everybody's name, in that condition, I think. And the best thing, I think, to be on the safer side is to go by, the standard databases that we have, Scopus and all. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, everybody wants the PPT. I don't think I've shared anything, I've talked about anything that is not readily available on Google, or, if you did a little bit of research, you'll be able to find out. But I'll share the PPT with the organizers. I think Preeti ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We will share it in the group.
Yes, I think the last slide where I have the links is important for people, and I'm sure it will be of help to them.
We will share all the queries are there. A lot of inquiries are there, and a lot of praise also is there for your session. But I guess once we share these PPTs in the group, a lot of queries will be solved. So because many things like what is the predatory journal and all, these are all the things we have already talked about it at length.
Yes.
And yes, after we share all these PPTs, and then I think things will be much more clearer. And with this very, very, very helpful presentation done by Dr. Kaushal ma'am, Ma'am, thank you so very much for always, putting your very, very learned, informed, expert insights. And I'm sure all our participants have gained a lot of information about the types of
Ma'am, can I answer a question that
Yes,
somebody
please.
has
Yes,
put in the chat? I can
Yes.
read. Okay, sorry to have interrupted you.
No,
but,
please go ahead, ma'am.
Somebody saying publishing in Scopus elsewhere are very costly. There are all kinds of journals in Scopus. Okay, there are journals that charge money, that have APC charges, or they ask for money, but there are also many journals that do not. It takes a lot of time to read and understand the Scopus website and to download the list. Somebody has also asked me to share the list. See, you can actually go to the website, spend some time, and then you can download the list. For arts and humanities, there's a separate list, because it is so huge. I think to download a list and to keep it is not feasible these days. What you can do is you can actually go to the website, and when you have an article in mind, or when you have a research paper in mind, then look for certain journals related to, type the theme, type the keywords, and then it will sit there, so it will come out. And that could be the list of journals where you can publish your papers. Okay, so getting a clear list, like UGC's list is revised again and again, Scopus also keeps revising list, but not so frequently. Although there is a list, you can go and get it from the website. Yes.
Vittal Kendra has raised the raised hand. Would you like to ask something? Sir, please unmute and then ask very quickly. Okay, no problem. I request Sakina Merchant to mute, please. I request Sakina Merchant to mute, please. So Urvashi ma'am, thank you so very much.
Yes.
And we will send some of the queries if we receive from the participants for your, and we are also going to share resource person's email ID and contact details in the group, so that it will be helpful for those who are pursuing.
They can get it from GAP website also.
Right, absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Yes, and
thank you. Thank you so very much. And
thank you, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Jappi sir, for giving me the opportunity again.
Thank you, ma'am. And with this note, I would like to hand over this floor to Dr. Jasmine Jappi, ma'am, the founding trustee and joint CEO and treasurer of Grand Academic Portal, to introduce our next speaker of the event, please. Dr. Jasmine, ma'am.
Yes. Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Yes, yes. Good evening to everybody, and thank you very much to the previous speakers for the very enlightening session. So I'm going to introduce the third speaker for today's FDP. Today's third speaker is Dr. Ritesh Gujarati. He is currently working as an associate professor in Department of Basic Principles at CVM University's G.J. Patel Institute of Ayurvedic Studies and Research, which is in New Vallabh Vidyanagar, Anand. And he has completed his PhD in the same subject, that is in Basic Principles in Ayurveda. And he has a total teaching experience of about 15 years. To his credit, he has published 4 books and 26 research papers, and his area of specialization is fundamental principles of Ayurveda, and he has delivered more than 95 talks at various institutes, and he had been a resource person in various online as well as offline FDPs and induction programs, reorientation programs for the faculties, and currently is also working as an assessor for NABH accreditation of Ayush hospitals. So we welcome you, sir, and I invite you to share your talk on ethics in research.
Good evening, all. I hope I'm audible and the slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So yes, first of all, let me extend my sincere thanks to Professor Gurudat Jappi and the organizers for providing me the opportunity to be a part of this FDP program. As my previous co-speakers have talked about first is that is plagiarism software, and the second co-speaker she has talked about how to select the journals, authenticity about the journals. The topic that I'll be dealing today with, that is ethics in research. Basically, I've come from medical background, so I'll be talking about bioethics and ethics in research. All these guidelines related to ethics have been formulated in last 200 or 300 years, because there were some incidences which has happened related to medical research where we could find the ethics related to research have been compromised, and that to a very serious extent. And that's how the thought came into the researcher's mind or the authorities that now we need to come up with certain guidelines related to medical research or the researches where there are human subjects. So today I'll be talking about in detail about these topics. So the key features about my presentations are: what is ethics, what is research, who should be considered as a human subject in research, that is medical research, history of research ethics, evolution of codes of ethics that have been developed in last 2 or 3 centuries, and 3 fundamental principles of research ethics that are supposed to be followed by each and every medical researchers. Now, what is ethics? Yes, we all know that the word ethics comes from a Greek word that is ethos, and ethos means the set of moral principles. These are the principles which guide us or which helps us to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. So yes, this is the meaning of ethics. It talks about a code of conduct, and which helps us people to decide that how we treat each other in a well manner, and how one person should behave with other in a justified manner. The term ethics usually refer to the moral principles or guiding conduct which are held by a group or even a profession. So even in medical field, there are certain ethics that are mandatory and which are to be followed by every medical researchers. So ethics are about the ways of understanding and examining the moral life, or what is right and wrong. So ethics gives us a sense to decide or to discriminate between right and wrong, whereas bioethics is something different, is a way of understanding and examining the moral aspects of biomedical research and practice. Because for the development of any medical science, research is obviously evident, but while doing that kind of research, we should never compromise the rights or responsibilities or certain important points that are related to research subjects. So bioethics talks about that. So now why we should worry about this research ethics? So yes, these are the stakeholders which helps us that yes, this ethics should always be strictly followed for the sake of science as well as for the sake of scientists. If a science needs to be developed in a proper manner, then all these research ethics should be followed. For research participant, it is important. For the public, because whatever researches or whatever medical researches are previously done or still they are done, all of them are going to go in public domain, and all those medical researches are going to help the public. So for even for the development of medical research in future, and obviously for the researcher who is doing that medical research, for all of them, these research ethics are very important. Now, why we should worry about this ethics? Let's talk about the research participant, because mainly medical ethics or research ethics talks about the rights of research participants. Now, who is the research participants? Either in medical research or even in social sciences, they have to take interviews or they have to take information about the people, about what they are doing, how they are doing. So research involving living individuals, about whom the research obtains 2 things. First, the data through intervention or interaction. Mainly if there are only survey studies, then there will be interaction. Or if it is like therapeutic intervention, then we'll be providing some kind of intervention in the form of medicine or in the form of various surgical interventions. And the second aspect is about identifiable human material or private information that we are going to collect while doing all kinds of research. So these two things are very important for the human subjects as well as for the researcher. Now let us talk about the historical background, that why these research ethics are evolved and why they are so important for any medical science. Let us talk about the incidences that has happened in the past where these ethics or the rights of the patients or research subjects have been compromised. So history of research ethics talks about the codes, guidelines and regulations which have been developed to guide the researcher as well as the institutes who are associated with medical research. So all the guidelines were created in response to two main aspects. First, an ethical lapses in research that has happened in the past 4 or 5 centuries. And also it provides answers to the new problems and challenges that are there in front of the medical research. So yes, these are certain historical events which has made all the say regulatory bodies or governments to think about that each and every research should be done in a proper manner, or there should be certain guidelines, ethical guidelines, and that are mandatory for a researcher. So by 1833, Mr. William Beaumont records what seemed considered to be the oldest American document dealing with the research ethics. So in the when we talk about this research ethics, this is the oldest document which is there, and these 2 points which they have specifically mentioned, that is, experimentation is needed for every medical science to grow. They have accepted that yes, experimentation is needed, but while doing all those kind of experimentation, we cannot treat or consider our research participant as guinea pigs. It is not like that randomly we will come up with a research project or research synopsis and again immediately we'll start doing some kind of haphazard research. So what they tell, investigator must be conscientious and responsible. He has the responsibility. He has to take care of all the research participants. He has the responsibility that the medical research should be done in a protocol that has been decided by a ethical committee or which has been approved by a ethical committee. Who was Mr. William? So he was a surgeon in the US Army who became known as the father of gastric physiology. So whatever the things that he has documented, these 2 points are very much important and that are considered as the oldest research ethics, medical ethics guidelines for medical research. Yes, now a few more things they talk about is investigations must have good methodological approach. It means a proper synopsis has to be written. It has to be approved by an institutional research committee. It has to be approved by institutional ethics committee, and then only the research scholar can go for or continue the research. When we talk about registering all the research participants or human subjects in any kind of either social science research or medical research, voluntary consent is very much necessary. There are standard formats for voluntary consent, and even it is mandatory that all those consents should be either bilingual or trilingual format. The government says or ethical body says that it should be at least trilingual, so English will be there, Hindi, and the third will be regional language. So in India, we expect that all these voluntary consents should be at least trilingual. Then discontinuation of experiment when it causes distress, that should be clearly mentioned in the clause, that while when the research is going on and during that research, if the research participant or human subject feels that okay, he is going through some kind of pain, he is not comfortable in that research, immediately there's a provision, and that should be clearly told in advance to the participant that it is his or her right that any time when he or she feels that they are not comfortable with the research, they can opt out from that research at any level. Also, while talking about the history of research ethics, yes, before 20th century, most of the researches were like small scale researches. Like for example, smallpox vaccine, it was done in a very small group of people. But beginning of 20th century, after 20th century, most of the researches were larger scale clinical trials. And whenever the clinical trials are larger scale, then all the ethical guidelines are to be followed properly. All these large scale clinical trials talk about collecting the systematic data, groups of the individuals, because all the research participants, according to the medical research or the type of research, they have to be divided into various groups. What is more important is when we are talking about medical research or research ethics, vulnerable group is very much important. So what is vulnerable group? Vulnerable group is a group of people where they are physically, mentally not in a position to give a proper decision, or all those patients or research subjects who are like below the age group of 12 years, where they do not understand the seriousness of the research and they are not in a position to give the consent. So both for vulnerable groups, that is those who are like more than 18 years of age, but they are not physically or mentally capable to give that kind of consent, and another group of people where they are not that much mature, legally they are not allowed to give that kind of consent. In all those conditions, something who is on behalf of these people, they have to give the consent. What has happened in the past when we talk about vulnerable groups, most of the researches like in the past have been done in the vulnerable groups like prisoners or orphans or mentally ill. So all these people are not aware that they are part of research. Even they do not know the like harmful effects of the research. They do not know what kind of therapies are given to them or what kind of surgical interventions are done to them and why it has been done. So they were absolutely not aware about the researches. And most important, no formal codes of research ethics were there. And that's why the quality or the authenticity about the research done in those eras is questionable. And after going through all those kinds of incidences that I'll be sharing, at least I'll be sharing 2 to 3 incidences where we can clearly feel that yes, research ethics were severely compromised. So now let us talk about this research where Dr. Albert Neisser, who was the discoverer of the gonococcus, what he did in order to find a method of syphilis prevention, he injected cell-free serum from the patients with syphilis into patients who were admitted for other medical conditions. It means all the patients who are there in the hospital for different medical conditions, but this researcher he just instill all these cell-free serum of these patients of syphilis without their consent in the patient's body. Most of these patients were commercial sex workers who were neither informed about the experience nor asked for their consents. Now, what he has done, when some of them contracted syphilis, what he concluded that vaccination didn't work. Now, medical research actually it doesn't work in that way. And what he argued that what happened actually after instilling those kind of serum in all those sex workers, most of them were afflicted with syphilis, and the conclusion was that the vaccination didn't work. However, he argued that the women didn't contract syphilis as a result of serum injections, but contracted the disease because they were commercial sex workers. And that's why he selected a group of people who are coming from commercial sex worker group. So that though the research ethics were compromised, that the consent was not taken, without their permission, such a kind of like severe viruses were instilled in the patient's body, and then they afflicted with syphilis. And in those eras, syphilis was considered like untreatable. It was very difficult to get cure or medicines for those diseases, and this is how research ethics were compromised. Then the court case was there, and most academic physicians at the time supported Neisser because he was a well-known researcher. In 1898, the public prosecutor investigated the case. What was the conclusion? The court ruled that though Neisser, as a well-known medical authority, may have been convinced that the trials were harmless and he should have sought the patient consent. So, though he played with the lives of many research participants, but only the conclusion was that he couldn't take the wrong thing in that entire research was that he didn't take the patient's consents. Not questionable science, but lack of patient's consent was the main principle for the legal judgment. Actually, the judgment should be about compromising the rights of those research participants, but it was not there. Even when we talk about such kind of like blunders were done in medical research on the name of medical research that happened in World War II. We all know, even all the photographs and information is available in public domain in Google now. So Nazi experiments, what they did is hypothermia experiments were done. What they did, the goal of this type of experiments was to determine how long German pilots would survive after parachuting into the cold North Sea. So what they did is a prisoner is submerged in a tank filled with cold water, and he was there till the last breath. So just for the sake of information, for collecting the data, that when the German pilots, when they'll come out of their planes and after parachuting, that for how much time or how much duration they will survive in the cold North Sea. And even one more experiment was done. You can see the photographs. High altitude experiments was there. High altitude experiments were performed to test how long pilots would survive after being ejected from their planes, because we all know that in high altitude area, the level of oxygen is very low. So prisoners were put in low pressure tanks with little oxygen. Many of those who didn't die, some of the research participants even survived in those low pressure tanks, but then also they were put under water until they died, just to collect the data that how much time they are going to survive. And most of these research participants were prisoners, war prisoners. This is one more blunder which has happened in US, Tuskegee, Alabama. It is known as now Tuskegee syphilis study. It started in 1932, and after a whistleblower, when he questioned the kind of researches that has happened in US, then 1972 it was withdrawn. So high prevalence of syphilis was there, and that's why those research participants, like black people, were selected as research participants. Although treatment was available, like penicillin was available in that time, but blacks in the rural southern town were not receiving the treatment. What has happened? Lack of funds, lack of doctors were there. So study they enroll all those research scientists. They just enrolled 400 black males, and they infected them with syphilis. Not an experiment, rather a study. So it was an observational study where 400 black males were registered. They were not knowing that they are registered for a syphilis study. Certain serums have been instilled in their body, and now it is an observational study, and that has continued for like 40 years. Here you can see the photograph. It was about, you can see here, inadequate disclosure of information. What kind of ethical issues were there? All those 400 participants, they were not knowing that what is happening to their body. What they believed, that they were getting free treatment. So all these kind of things, where they were collecting the spinal taps, it was told to them that this is the one kind of treatment to syphilis. Even US government actively prevented men from receiving penicillin. The treatment was available, but all these research participants for 40 years, they were like devoid of treatment. 1972 press reports caused the US government to stop the study after whistleblower. There are many questions in public domain, particularly print media, electronic media. Lack of informed consent, that was the issue. Then use of vulnerable population, because all those people who were selected, they were from vulnerable population group. Exploitation was done on the name of medical research. Proper information was not shared with them. All the subjects were put at risk. And whenever we plan any medical research, there are two facts. First is risk, and second is benefits. And while planning any medical research, when ethical committee decides or thinks about approval of that medical research synopsis, they always think about the research and benefits. And it is always said that benefits should always outweigh the risk. It means any research which has to be planned or to be done in future, there should be more benefits and the risk should be minimum. But in this kind of research, there were more risks and the benefits were minimum. And even deception and violation of rights of the individuals or research participant was there. Now, after 1972, whistleblower, he just shared this information into public domain. From 1972 to 1996, nobody talked about this. President Bill Clinton formally apologized in 1996. It means after 24 years, the research experiment started in like 1932, continued up to 72, that is 40 years. Nobody asked any questions. Everybody, all the politicians were knowing that such kind of harsh experiments are done with blacks, and held a ceremony at the White House for surviving Tuskegee study participants. What is important is 400 participants were registered. Out of that, only 5 of the 8 studies survived. It means from 400, only 8 could survive, and from 8, only 5 could attend that program. And what he apologized publicly, that what was done cannot be undone. He openly accepted. But we can end the silence. We can stop turning our heads away. We can look at you in the eye. So that was addressed to black people, and finally say on behalf of the American people, what the United States government did was shameful and that was wrong. And I am sorry. So publicly, openly he accepted and said sorry to all those research participants, and most important, to our African American citizens, that I am sorry that your federal government orchestrated a study so clearly racist. Why racist? Because only and only black people were registered for such kind of harsh study where many people lost their lives. So, yes, what is important is when we do this kind of researches, there are 2 things. First, advancement of science. Yes, for any kind of research, medical science or social science, advancement is important. And for that, we need to go for various kind of researches. We need to plan researches where we have to register various human participants. But simultaneously, we should also talk about, or we should also focus on protection of subject welfare and rights. And somehow that was missed in the first 200, 300 years of researches that has happened in the West and in the past. So what was wrong? Because Hippocratic oath talks about the welfare of all research participants, but it couldn't protect human welfare. It couldn't protect the respect of human rights or dignity of all those participants. So what was needed? Expansion of that Hippocratic is required. So what is that? Now it has been done in the form of Nuremberg Code, where Hippocratic oath is there. Along with that, now concepts of human rights. Mandatorily, we have to follow all these things, and then came into picture Nuremberg Code. It talks about the human rights plus welfare of the subjects. The first and longest principle talks about the voluntary consent. That is very important. That the person should know about what you are going to do with him in the next like 4-6 months. And voluntary consent, and that too bilingual consent of the human subject, is very essential. It also talks about subjects have the right to withdraw at any time. And in the beginning, they should be clearly told that it is their right. Also, it talks about the scientific value of the research, favorable risk as well as benefit ratio, that should be properly weighed. And always, all the benefits should outweigh the risk. Suffering by subjects should be avoided. Throughout that medical research, we should take care that all the research participants, there shouldn't be any physical or psychological harm. Then came after Nuremberg, this code, then the Declaration of Helsinki, that is considered as most important document which forms the basis of this modern medical ethics. It was developed by World Medical Association in 1964. It provides the guidance for physicians as well as participants, because all medical researches, these 2 persons or 2 personalities will be there, that physicians or surgeon and participants. Many updates from 1975 to 2008 have been done on regular basis. Now it talks about the well-being of the subject. It talks about that all of those consent should be taken in a free atmosphere and in writing. Verbal consent, that okay, I have taken verbal consent, that is not accepted. So we need to come up and we need to keep the documents related to written informed consent. It is mandatory now. Every institute need to have an ethical review committee. So in all medical institutes, there'll be two committees. First, there'll be like institutional research committee. The primary screening of the research synopsis will be done. Then for ethical issues, all those researches where human participants are involved, all those research synopsis will be subjected to a very harsh review of institutional ethical committee. Institutional ethical committee will go through the details of all these points and then they'll approve, and then only you can start registering the participants. So Declaration of Helsinki talks about that this declaration has been developed. So ethical principles to provide guidance to physicians and other participants in medical research involving human research. What are the main principles? Duty of the physician in medical research is to protect the life, health, privacy, and dignity. These are the core issues or core principles from Declaration of Helsinki, and that forms the basis of most important research ethics. Even it talks about medical research that human subjects must conform to generally accepted scientific principles. We cannot bypass that. Appropriate caution must be exercised in the conduct of research. Proper care should be taken that there shouldn't be any physical or psychological harm during the process of research. And the design and performance of each experimental procedure. So that design where the human subjects are enrolled should be clearly formulated. We cannot change that design. And if you are planning to change the design, again, you need to go back to ethical committee. If they approve, then only you can change the design. The research protocol should always contain a statement of ethical consideration. So what kind of ethical considerations are there? Everything should be written one by one in that protocol. Yes, some independent committee, particularly institutional ethical committee, there's a standard protocol for that. That institutional ethical committee should always be headed by a person who is not part of that institute, so that the bias should be avoided. There are certain protocols about that there should be some lawyers should be there, then common representation of common people should be there. There should be basic scientists, there should be scientists from the institutions, medical scientists from the institutions, outside the institutions. So all this forms a group of people who are going to review all the researches or research synopsis just submitted to IEC, that is Institutional Ethical Committee. Also, medical research involving human subjects should be conducted only and only by scientifically qualified persons, and that too under supervision of clinically competent medical person. So always we need to have people from scientific background as well as doctors should be there on board. Every medical research project involving human subjects should be preceded by careful assessment. Proper assessment should be there before planning that research, which talks about the risks and burdens in comparison with foreseeable benefits. So what are the risks? What are the benefits? And that should be properly thought about in advance before planning the research, before it goes to ethical committee. There's one more report, that's Belmont report, which talks about the National Commission for the Protection of Human Subjects of Biomedical and Behavioral Research. Why it is important? Because yes, these are the three important ethical principles. It talks about beneficiaries. So what are the benefits to the researcher, to the society, and to the research subjects? Then it also talks about the respect for human dignity. Whosoever is going to participate in that research, particularly we are talking about research participants who are enrolled for those research. So we should be extra cautious about the dignity. Also, we should be extra cautious about the data that we are collecting from them, because the dignity is very closely associated with the confidentiality of the data, whatever we are collecting during the process of research. It also talks about the justice, because in the process of research, if there is some kind of harm, then there should be provision in that research that all those expenses will be taken care by the company who is funding that research, or the researcher, or the institute who is conducting, or where the research is properly done. Yes. So beneficence, it talks about imposes the duty on researchers to minimize harm and maximize benefits. It also talks about to protect from harm and discomfort. Freedom from exploitation, that is the main agenda for these beneficiaries. And yes, benefits from research should be provided. At the end of the research, wherever the community, wherever this research is done, that community should be given the benefits of those researches. Principle of dignity, it talks about humans should be treated as autonomous agents capable of controlling their own activities. Also, it talks about the full disclosure, where the researcher should fully describe the nature of the study, what are the subject's right, also the rights to refuse the participation, also right to leave that study or research during when the research is going to be conducted, and researcher's responsibility and the risks and benefits of the research that should be clearly documented, and it should be properly signed by the researcher. Also, it talks about the principle of justice, where the main important issue is the right to fair treatment and the right to privacy. So the confidentiality of the data is very much important. So the first step in the evolution of ethics is a sense of solidarity with other human beings. So all the research participants who are part of that research, we should be extra cautious about their rights. Yes, this is a group of vulnerable population where pregnant women are there, fetuses are there, children, elderly people, mentally disabled persons, even sick persons, then unconscious persons, prisoners, persons with little and no education, and poor persons. So this is a group of vulnerable population where on behalf of these people, somebody else has to give the consent. Yes, this is one more CIO MS guidelines. It talks about the ethical guidelines, and which also talks about the international clinical trials and their guidelines. Now, what is the importance of ethics in research? First and most important is we need to protect the vulnerable group and other study participants. Participants are safeguarded from exploitation. There shouldn't be any kind of exploitation throughout the course of research. Establishes risk-benefit ratio, where there should be more benefits and minimum risks. It also ensures fullest respect, dignity, privacy, full disclosure, and fair treatment for the subjects who are participating in our research. It also builds the capability of subjects to accept or reject the participation in the study. So in the beginning only, it is their right. After listening to you, they can straightforward reject that they would not like to participate in your research. So yes, this is all about research ethics. This was a very superficial understanding of research ethics. So once again, I extend my sincere thanks to the organizers for providing the opportunity to be a part of this FDP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful insight on the ethics in research. Participants are requested to please ask any queries if you have. Kindly unmute your mic and please ask your query. So I guess, sir, all are well understood the topic. There's no query. So once again, thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable time on weekends. As a doctor, you are so busy. Participants are requested to please stay put in the group for coming week because we'll be sharing certificate in the WhatsApp group only. And you can also stay put in the group to get more and more information about such FTPs in future. Yes, sir, we are going to issue.
Sir, there is one query, I think.
Okay.
I can just answer that.
Yes,
somebody has asked, what about the clinical trials conducted to animals? We are harming them also. Absolutely, madam. Let me tell you, there are two kinds of IEC, that is institutional ethical committees. First, where institutional ethical committee only talks about the research participants, where human participants are involved. There's one more committee we talk it as animal ethical committee. So AIEC. So it talks about what are the animal rights, what are the guidelines, even all the details, like whenever, because all the medical researches are going to involve various kinds of animals, from like small to larger kind of animals. There are certain guidelines that how many animals you can take. Then what about the animal rights? Even it talks about the size of the cages. that what should be the size of that cage, then what should be the atmosphere of animal house. So all those guidelines are there, where this animal ethical, where institutional animal ethical committee takes care about that. So all pharmacy institutions, medical institutions will have those kind of committees. So whenever we are talking about involvement of animals in that research, then again that research protocol or synopsis will go to that committee also. They will approve, and then only you can start your research. So 100% we are protecting the rights of animals also. I hope it is clear now.
I guess we are done with the queries, sir.
Yes, yes, thank you.
So once again, thank you all the participants, and those who are unable to register via Google link, I request them to please WhatsApp me on my number so that I can add you. And I repeat, you will get only those participants will get certificate, those who have attended all 3 sessions and fill up the Google form. Thank you all.